Welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. As we close out the first 100 days of Donald Trump, the media is going ballistic with an array of new polling showing the president slipping on approval into the mid-40s. ABC actually has Trump at 39% right now, claiming the lowest after 100 days in about 80 years. Mostly negative coverage gets the credit for this, of course. Media Research Center often shows us that the president gets more than 90% negative coverage, so nobody expects a high rating for Trump to last very long. Lately, Trump's been hammered on trade policies and tariffs, from those claiming that our economy was very strong when he entered office and he's spoiling everything. Despite the fact that Americans held record household debt and astronomical prices we had after 3 years of heavy inflation. But the economy was great because the stock market was high. And as the media apparatus works to cripple another Trump presidency, they were disappointed to discover that Trump would be skipping yet another White House Correspondents' dinner this past weekend in Washington. The nerd prom, as we refer to it, where Jake Tapper is the good-looking guy. It happens every spring when left-wing sycophants who've taken over the American media all join together to celebrate themselves. And last night, the award for journalistic excellence went to an Axios reporter, the first to boldly report a story that he helped to conceal for 3 years, a story that everyone already knew. The host of Meet the Press making the announcement on Saturday night. Take a listen.
The judges said Thompson's aggressive reporting on President Biden, especially leading up to and after the Trump-Biden debate, revealed the president's cognitive decline was impacting his ability to do his job, information the White House tried to conceal. Ladies and gentlemen, the White House Correspondents Association is pleased to give the Aldo Beckman Award to Alex Thompson.
All right, so we're going to show you a little bit more of that coming up here in a second. We're going to go into some of the incredible reporting that he did from last summer. But before we do, we should tell you that every bit of that reporting that we could find from Alex Thompson all came after Joe Biden completely collapsed in front of the entire world during that fateful first debate with Donald Trump.
For COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol.
A night to remember. More than a week later, the very brave Alex Thompson over at Axios brought us these headlines. Biden's team drafted the questions for his first post-debate interviews. And scoop, how Biden's event staffers guide him behind the scenes. Again, everyone knew this was happening for years. But 2 weeks prior to the debate, Alex Thompson wrote a story on Joe Biden's classified documents case in the Robert Hur report, where Hur advised DOJ against charging Joe Biden because even though he's the president of the United States, he was apparently an old man with a poor memory. Thompson barely laid a glove on Biden prior to that debate, after he was described as too old and broken down to even jail, even though at the same time he was also the president of the United States. This is what they call journalistic integrity and excellence in Washington these days. This is what passes for that. Try not to laugh. And when Thompson wrote these pieces exposing Biden, we had already watched, by the way, Biden calls Zelensky Putin at the G7. We had already seen that happen. We had watched Biden fall up the stairs going on to Air Force One, calling out a dead woman's name at an event, trying to find her, saying long live the Queen right after the Queen died, the Easter Bunny saving Biden from the media, which was of course a fan favorite, and also too many verbal flubs to even count.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to another ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy, and the guys who are the kleptocracies.
We also had seen multiple news conferences where Biden had names of reporters like that he's allowed to call on a sheet of paper, their pictures, And sometimes even the topic of questions that would be asked, which was just as Soviet as it could possibly get with the media, reminding us that the media now only exists to keep Republican politicians in check and give Democrats continual power. And with that, we finally get to the big winner's acceptance speech from Saturday night. Take a listen.
President Biden's decline and its cover-up by the people around him is a reminder that every White House, regardless of party, is capable of deception. But being truth tellers also means telling the truth about ourselves. We, myself included, missed a lot of this story, and some people trust us less because of it. We bear some responsibility for faith in the media being at such lows.
You catch the nuance of that, the way he said it? He said every White House, even the Democrats, who are always the good guys, are capable of deception. That's 30 realizing for the first time that just because he votes straight ticket Democrat in every election doesn't necessarily mean that Democrats are not corrupt, lying, power-hungry hyenas. What a discovery he's made. It's nice to watch him find himself while getting an award for being the best journalist in the country. That's how stupid this dinner is, that Trump skips every single opportunity that he has to go. Here's the president of this increasingly insignificant group of fake journalists. This is what he said on Saturday night.
We journalists are a lot of things. We are competitive and pushy. We are impatient, and sometimes we think we know everything. But we're also human. We miss our families and significant life moments in service to this job. We care deeply about accuracy and take seriously the heavy responsibility of being stewards of the public's trust. What we are not is the opposition. What we are not is the enemy of the people, and what we are not is the enemy of the state.
I got that same tux. That's the head, by the way, of the WHCA. That's the guy that's running the whole thing. Who do you think he voted for? It's a two-party system, Eugene, is my message back to him. And everyone in that room, for the most part, is in the tank for one of those parties. They're decimating the First Amendment every single day, decimating it. Free press, hold them accountable, decimating it every single day. They're helping one political party in a two-party system, helping one party gain perpetual, never-ending power, which of course leads to tyranny, and does so rapidly, by the way. They are absolutely the enemy of the people. And last night, 60 Minutes reminded us that this problem is endemic. Maybe the show with the most credibility of them all. Hit with a heavy lawsuit from Trump over that pre-election Kamala Harris interview where the producers literally edited the piece to make Kamala seem way more competent on the subject of Israel. Her initial answer, she looked like a total idiot, and they edited it to make her look like she knew what she was talking about. We've shown it to you many times. The problem was they didn't really do all the work right because they accidentally used the bad part of Kamala's answer during a teaser for 60 Minutes earlier that morning during Face the Nation, which I actually was watching live and saw it, and I couldn't believe they put that on television. But then for 60 Minutes, they cleaned it up, made her look really sharp and smart, trying to help her win the election. As Paramount, which owns CBS 60 Minutes, all that, contemplates settling with Trump on this suit, the executive producer has decided to quit. He is just enraged that they would settle this, defiant. Scott Pelley is enraged as well and went on television last night and called out his parent company. Take a listen.
Stories we pursued for 57 years are often controversial. Lately, the Israel-Gaza war and the Trump administration. Bill made sure they were accurate and fair. He was tough that way. But our parent company, Paramount, is trying to complete a merger. The Trump administration must approve it. Paramount began to supervise our content in new ways. None of our stories has been blocked, but Bill felt he lost the independence that honest journalism requires. No one here is happy about it, but in resigning, Bill proved one thing. He was the right person to lead 60 Minutes all along.
Yeah, sure. Pelly is bold enough to go on TV and call out his parent company for the idea of potentially settling this lawsuit with Trump, but is somehow at the same time unable to admit what is so very obvious to everybody that followed that story, very obvious, that 60 Minutes clearly leaned on the scale for Kamala Harris. They clearly were trying to help Kamala Harris with that interview edit, one of the most important edits they could have made to make her look competent on one of the biggest issues in that election. CBS and 60 Minutes clearly leaned on the scale. He could call out his company, but he couldn't call out what is so obvious to the rest of us. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt Tonight on Newsmax.